Yeah. I guess we never hit start.
I didn't hit start. All right.
Yeah.
Well, for those who are kind of wondering, we're live on YouTube now. So,
I guess we never hit start.
you know what's amazing? I had this down all good for 1 week, and now I don't. So, it's amazing. So, I messed everything up, everybody.
So now we're live.
Well, for those who are kind of wondering, we're
Hello,
live
everybody.
on YouTube now. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to mute myself. You know what's amazing? I'm hearing myself. So, I just muted myself on there. Wow. So, everybody, welcome to our stream. So we're going to cut that out. So in the audio version, so sometimes the audio version might be better watching than the live version. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to press the live button. You know what's funny too? There's an enable auto start right on the settings that maybe I should just do from now on.
Do that.
Well, welcome everybody who hasn't been here. We are live here on YouTube. We were on the air recording ourselves for the last 20 minutes, and we didn't realize we were live on the air. That's why I have no idea what I'm doing. But I was ready for the first week.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
But you know what it is? I blame my wife because I sent her the text message. I said, hey, oh, you know what? I didn't even send her the text message. So it's my fault. Everything is my fault
Everything
today
is your fault.
everything. Well, we want to let you know that we did talk about the iPhone 12 right before we got started with breaking news, which was all about the COVID and how it's delaying our response. That's what we talked about.
Yep.
But let's talk about the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
No, you didn't miss much. But what I want to do is, again, to go over we're going to talk over the video again, but I'm going to play it again just so everybody can see it, and I'll just knock the audio down. So bottom line is the Apple, let's talk a little bit about the Apple Watch. So do you remember the exact date that it was launched?
Not the exact date, but I know it was October of 2015.
That's when the announcement came.
Right. But then it wasn't launched till 2016.
So I'm going to get the actual dates up here so everybody has, so we actually talk about the dates. Of course, now I turned off my Wi-Fi because I was like, I feel like everything was running slow, and now everything's running slow. This world is not working out this week.
No, it's not. Good thing it's Wednesday.
No. Yeah, I think it's Wednesday, and this episode will... Now I have to edit. now I have to edit. So originally, April 24th, 2015 is when the actual launch of the Apple Watch was. It was October of 2014 because, remember, I got married in 2014. That's why I remember that so well. And then, so it came out on that date, and it's now the most wearable selling device at 4.2 million sold in the second quarter of 2015. Of course, that is now the last time they have revealed actual numbers. But based on shipping information, it is definitely the first one. So let's talk about the first one a little bit. Now, I actually have the first Apple Watch, which is Series 0, by the way. Let's get that right.
Yes,
it's Series 0.
Series 0.
I'm using. Because and it ended up becoming that because of what ended up happening. So, let's talk about a little bit about it. So, what things did you like about it, Tim, that you liked about the Apple Watch? Did you buy the first generation?
I did not. I bought the Series 1. But from, the similar things to the Series 1 from the Series 0, I loved it. This was an OS thing, but I loved that little friend group thing you can have. I forget what it was called, but you can click the side wake button, and then you can click that, and it'll automatically go to your quick friends list where you can call them, text them right from that list very easily. I like that. They got rid of that because you used to keep all your friends that had Apple Watches in it because now it's the easiest way to communicate back and forth with them because you could send those gesture touches. You can send your heartbeat. You can send drawings of inappropriate things. It was just a lot of fun.
Penises.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't want to say it. So that was a cool feature in the OS that originally came out.
I thought that'd be taken off a little bit better than I thought it would, but it didn't. And not to mention it was limited. Who could you do that with?
Right.
That's kind of the problem. So, what another thing that I thought was interesting was that they were so big, and this is going to come from an Apple Store side. They were so big on the jewelry part.
Yes.
So if you remember, so let's talk a little bit about how Apple was presenting it to us when we were doing it. So we did like a training on how we would take, like, so I'm going to actually show you how we turn someone's wrist. They don't touch the watch. We wrap it on them and put it on for them.
Yeah.
So we did all of this for them because they felt that this device, the way it was supposed to be such a jewelry product that we were going through training on how to put on a watch on somebody. And we all took that training. Even anybody that was in the back took the training.
Yeah.
It was one of the weirdest things ever.
It always made me uncomfortable.
It did, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember we all, even as a genius, I had to learn it, and I was like, "What is this? Like, this is so weird. Like, no one's ever gonna like. We're not in a jewelry store. You know, we're in a freaking Apple store. Do you think they really care about how we put it on the wrist? You know, it was one, and this is the Angela era. You know, and it came from her, which of course because she's where she came from. But man, it was like that did not last long, at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do you remember anything about that training?
I'm sorry?
Do you remember anything about that training? Like anything that you could recall that, like, really was like.
Yeah, not in particular. It was more or less that there was the kind of thrown at home message saying that the customer should never actually physically put the watch on themselves. So there was that kind of idea of it. But other than that, I just never liked it. And nowadays you can walk in an Apple store and you can just try them on yourself. It's kind of crazy. And there's just a person hovering around the table.
Yeah.
I also still don't like that, but there was just really no other way. I just remember initially, so this is kind of funny that we're talking about this tonight because the Apple Watch is the reason why I was interested in joining Apple. So my brother at the time when the original Apple Watch came out, at the time you had to actually schedule a block of time in the store to actually see the
I remember
device,
that, yes.
and then you would place the order either in the store or you would be directed to place it online. So my brother made an appointment and for the Quaker Bridge Apple store that Will and I worked at.
It was a watch try-on.
Yeah, it was a watch try-on appointment. And I was like, I went with him because I was like, all right, it's the Apple store, going to the mall, whatever. I was a teenager in a way. And the gentleman that helped us, I was in between jobs at that time and I was looking for a new job. And the gentleman that helped us was like, well, why don't you just apply here? And I was like, no way, I could never work at Apple. I'm not smart enough. I don't know anything about technology, blah, 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 blah. He's like, no, dude. He's like, this is awesome. Like, tell me different benefits of it, whole 9 yards. Like, you should really apply. Like, just apply. He said, what do you have to lose? Just apply. And I was like, okay, fine. I applied like at midnight that night. And then lo and behold, about 3 months later, I get a call. They called me in. I went in for an interview and I eventually got the job. So if I never went to that Apple Watch try-on appointment, I would have never had my experience and lovely 3 years at Apple. So thanks. I remember who helped me in the store. I'm not going to say his name just because we didn't get permission to say his name. But he was awesome. He was a very good dear friend of mine when I eventually joined the team. So thank you. It was awesome. So Apple Watch really brought me and started my Apple journey.
That's a great story. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was the inspiration. Which watch did he buy anyway?
My brother. He bought the Apple Watch Sport with the white band.
Now, did he already buy it ahead of time before the try-on, or did he go to the try-on then buy it?
He went to the try-on and then bought it at the store.
How do you know about that? How do you know about the try-on?
That was the only way you could, because you couldn't buy it online at that point. You could only go in and try it on and then make the purchase in a store.
Interesting. Okay, see, I forgot that.
Yeah.
That was true. Yeah, you did have to do that, and it was a very limited supply. Well, let's talk about like the supply of it. So, we had the Apple Watch and we had the Apple Sport at the time. So the Apple Sport was the cheaper one, but they would always say Apple Watch first, which was the stainless steel, and then of course the unbelievable, the stupid gold one.
It was $17,000.
That was over $10,000 to get because it was made of real gold. And again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is Angela's. I don't know if Angela has something to do with the style of the watch. I wouldn't be surprised if they got her input but that she said, "Oh, you need to make $10,000 gold watches." Like, really?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what made it so weird about that. Now, I wanted to show that the difference between a Series 0 and I have a 4. So Tim gave me a couple of tasks to do that I'm going to perform on both watches at the same time. Or actually, I'm going to start on 0 first, and then I'm going to go to 4 because I think it's going to be, I think it won't matter. So I'm going to bring myself down here. By the way, like my lanyard is on here.
Yeah, nice.
Mm-hmm. So if you look at our video on one of our previous videos back a little bit, you will see our iMac repair video. So let me get to the tasks you told me to do. So I know you wrote it down. Do you remember which ones? I know weather was definitely one of them.
Weather was one. Sending a text message.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then.
Yep, I got it right here.
You got it.
And then, so I'm going to do the text, weather, and the heart rate sensor. That's the other one we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the weather app on here, and I'm going to do it on here. I'm going to say, what's the weather? What's the weather?
Here's the forecast.
Got it right here already. So that is my Series 4 right here. I'm still waiting for my Series 0. Got it. And remember, there was no response when Siri didn't respond to it, by the way. And that's because of the software. So, you see the difference?
Yeah,
that was crazy. A pretty big difference of time. I'm going to do a text message. So, I'll say, text Tim Santoro, how are you? Text Tim Santoro, how are you? Okay.
I'll send this.
So, even though I did this beforehand, this sent out just a millisecond before yours went out.
Oh, wow, that's surprising, actually.
Yeah, so that was not too bad, sending a text message. And now remember, I'm using Wi-Fi models. I have no cellular. And then we're going to do the heart rate. So let's go to the heart rate app. I'll run the heart rate.
And just a reminder, the Apple Watch Series 4 has a built-in EKG inside the watch. So that's one of the major differences between the Series 0 and the Series 4, the technology built into it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, I think the heart rate's going to be fine. Because that's a built-in, it's based on the sensor. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, so that really wasn't too bad. But the weather one was definitely, like, even if I have to go see news, like, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to open up the news app. Open news. Open news. So I'm ready here. I'll tap you when I'm ready. That wasn't too bad. So the news actually wasn't too bad either on there. But this came up pretty quickly. I will say that. So give me another example. We'll do one more. We'll do maps. I make maps as a
maps. There you go.
Now on this Apple Watch, I have the circles. Now on my
honeycomb.
I do the honeycomb. I do the list.
Yeah, the list is the best.
So the list really is. If you don't know how to do that, all you have to do is when you're inside the app bubble view, press down hard for the haptic touch, and you will see the option for the list.
Yep.
That to me is one of the best features on there. All right, so I'm going to go to maps on both. All right, let's start here. We'll start with Series 0 and then go here. And then location. All right, found me here already. Still waiting on my Series 0. Still waiting.
See, there's a major difference.
Still waiting. Okay, now the map finally showed up, but we're still not zooming into my location yet. In fact, it didn't even zoom in. It's looking at North America. It's not even... Like, it's a little weird. It's still looking at North America. Like, it hasn't actually, like, zoomed into my spot. Whew.
You're cool with two watches on.
Yeah, I look so cool, man. I'm so awesome.
Bling, bling.
But it's not even... Yeah, this is taking a long time. Like, to get it exactly the way I have it on here, where it has my exact location on the watch right now. Whew. I think that's a proof enough. That's a proof right there. Now what happened was, remember, they decided that they were going to release a Series 2, which had the water resistance built in it, And that's when they came out with the cool feature with the water in the microphone.
Yep.
Where they're able to knock it out, which is really cool. So, and then they also came out with Series 1 at the same time. Now, that's when they decided to change how this was being made. So, the Apple Watch Series 2 sold in the aluminum, the stainless steel, and then it came out, I think it didn't have like the edition, right? If I'm correct.
I believe it had the ceramic.
I think that was in the third edition.
That was third edition. Yeah. Then they may not have the edition in that model.
I'm looking it up right now just to see if they what they had in there, but I believe the edition came out with number 3 on there. I'm just taking a look and see if that's what it was.
But the major differences between Series 1 and Series 2, Series 2 had the built-in GPS, which was huge for those kind of activity runners out there that needed built-in GPS. Any of those hikers, anyone who's really going out and doing outdoorsy activities. If you're using it for maybe city walking and you don't want to have your phone out, you could have used that built-in GPS on your watch. So that was a major difference between a Series 1 and Series 2, other than the cost. But other than that, they still had the digital crown, the multi-touch, the force touch, the digital touch, and that side button. Again, it still had the same sizes. We didn't see a new size until the Series 4. So we've still seen the traditional 38 millimeter and 42 millimeter screen size having the Series 1 and Series 2.
Yeah, and the for the ceramic, that was so much cheaper than the gold. And the other thing, remember what they started doing too, was Series 0 got discontinued pretty quickly. Like, that was one of the quickest, like, I think 8 months they came out with a new version, or maybe like a year and a half. I forget how long. It didn't take that long where they got rid of the first version. Because here's to be honest, folks, Series 0 was not ready for Apple Watch. It just wasn't. Look how long it took just to do a map, and weather. It just, they had the concept there, and remember, we had a deal. I don't know, you weren't there at the time. Do you know how much we got off of these Apple Watches at the time?
I think you got like half off, didn't you?
Got half off.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I got half off my watch, and that was the incentive to get one. So for my 30th birthday, my parents bought me the stainless steel with the Milanese loop. Now, the Milanese loop was so cool. I thought that metallic loop that lapped around, attached right away, that was one of the coolest things. And so the bands themselves, I thought, were really great. I think I never heard anybody really say they fell off them. The stainless steel chain link that you don't have to use a tool to pop the links out, and it's all magnetic. That was so, like, I'm a watch guy. I wear a lot of watches, and that's a simple thing that I can't believe not many watchmakers do. I know it's probably cheaper. I think that's why, but I mean, take the rod out. But still, like, the simple thing of just pressing a button and to taking it off. Really, really cool. I love that.
And then 2017 is when the Apple Watch Series 3 came out. So the large difference from the jump from the Series 2 to Series 3 is now a cellular option. So for the first time, the watch itself could connect to its own mobile internet, further eliminating the need to pair the device with your iPhone. So if you did pay for the cellular model, which was always more expensive, along with paying for a cellular contract now with your cellular company that you use, you're allowed to use the watch as a standalone device. So you can use it to make phone calls in the middle of the ocean. You can use it to, if you're on a marathon run, you need to answer a phone call or change a song on your Apple Music. This allows you to do so with cellular, which is awesome.
Now, I remember the big story that we found out when this first launched. The cellular wasn't working that well when it first got launched in Series 3. There were a lot of complaints about the cellular activity not working right. And Apple did admit that they had to come out with a software update to fix that. So people who had the cellular model couldn't use the cellular model on its own as a standalone the first few weeks or months. So that was pretty bad.
Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah. I remember
totally would be pissed.
The T-Mobile connectivity and stuff. That was just awful.
Well,
Apple Watch.
they were giving, I think, 3 months for free. I think one of the incentives of getting that was that they were giving a few months for free to make it up because Apple wasn't ready for it.
Right.
So I remember that was definitely something they were doing. But after that, the Series 3. Now the biggest thing I don't like about now that I'm wearing both watches at the same time, how bulky the bottom of this is compared to this one.
Sure. Right.
You know, and I can tell you, like, the difference is night and day when it comes to how flat this ring is, and it's ceramic now compared to the steel, and it just looks like it's just so much bulkier now. And even the weight, like, I can feel the weight difference in it. But I'm using a stainless steel compared to like an aluminum, so that could be it too. But there was just a big weight difference on this one. So Series 0 was just like I said, that model should have never came out. Now, the model that we're going to talk about next, Series 4, the one that we both have. Talk about the model they should have came out with the first time. Like, this was the
Say
one.
again, I'm sorry.
They should have been...
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, this
Series
was the one.
4
Yeah.
should have been, like, the one that they should have came out with the first time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I said on our podcast, and I'm saying again now, this is the perfect watch for me. I don't see myself upgrading to the Series 5, and when the Series 6 eventually does come out, I don't see myself upgrading from the Series 4 for a long time. I currently have the cellular model. It does everything that I want it to do as a watch. I go on runs, it records all my runs. I can now play Spotify on my watch. I could connect my AirPods to it. I have that internet access because I don't like to take my phone on runs with me or when I'm out doing things. I just like to leave my phone. When I'm at the gym, I like to leave my phone in the locker. I just have my Apple Watch on me. And I love that cellular connectivity and just how quickly it is to just do so many things on your Apple Watch, especially how they've adapted the OS as well. I have the 44 millimeter, so it's a larger screen. And now I can actually write on the messages out. I don't have to dictate them anymore if I don't want to dictate them because they've updated that OS. So I have a larger screen to do that. It's just really the ideal watch for me.
And also the previous model was discounted down to $249 compared to $399. It was like, okay, so now you had a choice between them. Series 4, like I told everyone, there's no reason to get it. The fall detection, the EKG, they moved the microphone the opposite sides. It's a small thing. Made a big difference because of the speaker quality now. That was a humongous difference. The size was bigger. The glass was like pressed down. The ceramic backing was a lot nicer to sit on your wrist.
Yep.
They did a lot. The fall detection, and I talked about that, I'm sure, but I'll bring it up again. And then the automatic emergency services feature. That to me was like amazing. Now it's available for a product for somebody who may not necessarily need it, but like all those fall I can't get up commercials now are all Apple Watch now. Have you ever detected a fall on you yet?
I have not. No, what I have detected is anytime that I'm watching the Houston Texans play, my heart rate is like off the charts. And when there's like either the game's coming down the wire and I'm really nervous, my heart rate skyrockets. So my watch beeps me every time saying, "Hey, there's been a rapid increase in your heart rate. Like either slow down what you're doing or hold on yards." I get that update every time that I'm watching football. So it's kind of funny.
It's done that when I bowled a couple times, but I have fallen once and it did go off. And my wife actually, believe it or not, it's gone off on her more times than anything. I don't know why.
Oh man!
But one of the big, and then the walkie-talkie feature was another big thing when they brought back that Nextel.
Yeah.
That Nextel feature. So Tim, I gotta put you in my walkie-talkie because we can walkie-talkie each other.
Yeah, we can walkie-talkie each other.
So I gotta add you as a friend in my walkie-talkie. In fact, I'm gonna go right now. I'm going to find Mr. Tim Santoro, or Tim Vacation as we all know him, and I'm going to add Tim into my walkie-talkie.
Walkie-talkie.
Where are you, Timmy? Oh, yeah, everything's by last name, so I have you by your legal last name, whatever that is. There we go. Tim Santoro is now added as my invite, so Tim will have to accept that on his watch. He better accept it, and then I can next tell him anytime.
It didn't come through yet.
Well, it better. So that was a good thing. And then the Series 5 came out, the most recent one, where they added the always on display. Now, is that something big for you?
Nope.
No, it's not. But even as a runner, because I know that was like, I think runners really liked it. I mean, that was definitely a very big requested feature. Also, I didn't even know this. They added 32 gigs of storage in that watch.
Oh,
compared to 16 on the 4.
16. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's huge. I mean, I don't use, but I think I had still like 8 gigabytes left on my Apple Watch, which I imagine will only be used if there's ever any software updates currently happening, which there always will be. But yeah, the always on display. Again, when I'm running with my watch, I always turning the wrist to look at my screen anyway. So, I really have no complaints about it, but I could see for a more serious avid runner, they would always want that on that display on. But I've been okay with it. But it really does give that idea of like, those traditional watch owners, this really, that always on display kind of functions exactly like a traditional watch. So again, that could be something that sways, these traditional watch owners that are like, I'll never buy an Apple Watch because I love the make and feel of a watch. This definitely does take that step.
And Series 5 also include the compass feature, which, unless you're a Boy Scout getting lost in the woods, you're not going to use it. And then they brought back ceramic again. So again, Series 4, we didn't have that. They brought it back again from Series 3, the ceramic feature. So really right now let's talk about the prices right now of what an Apple Watch does cost. So they sell a Series 3 starting at $199 for the GPS and cellular model.
So cheap.
And then they have it's so cheap compared to what I paid $800. It would have been $800 for my first generation stainless steel watch that barely worked. Or if it worked, it was slow. So, but you remember, the idea was that Apple wanted every Apple employee to get this around their wrist so they could show it off.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I originally got hired there, I still had the 50% off deal. So that's how I bought my first watch.
And then of course with the Series 3, they do also have the Nike version for the Nike faces and the Nike bands. And they got rid of Series 4 and replaced it with Series 5, which I understand why they did that. They only upgraded 2 or 3 features that it didn't make any sense. But it still starts at $400 for that band. What do you think? Do you think you would go with what would you tell someone right now? They don't have an Apple Watch. What is the watch to get?
Apple Watch Series 3.
Oh, you're going to say Series 3?
Yeah, I'm going to say Series 3 only because it's just so affordable. I had no complaints with it at all. You can still get all the most updates with it. It's if you don't want to hash out a bunch of money for an Apple Watch and just want something that's going to be very user friendly for you and it's going to work just as fine as a watch and to do basic tasks on it, the Series 3 is a no-brainer.
Interesting. I'm surprised. I thought you would say something different than that. I didn't think you would go down that route. And right now, the stainless steel starts at around, let's see here. Stainless steel starts around $800. So it's still the same price as it was when the first watch came out. Still not cheap to get a stainless steel one.
But what would you recommend, the Series 5?
I think there's just too many good features in the 5 that make it so good. Now, if it was like my mother, I would recommend Series 3. But like for my wife, who would benefit from some of the features that this has, especially that she's getting older in her age and the walkie-talkie feature. Like there are just some features that this watch has that those don't. And I think there's enough of a difference between the fall detection, the EKG. My wife is diabetic. This is like, to have more health benefits built into that watch is the reason why I went forward and got the Series 4. Now, of course, I had a nice discount at the time,
right.
So that did help. So right before I left Apple, I did use my big discount to get her one of those watches. So to be fair, I saved like $100. So of course, you're going to do that.
But I do want to point out, traditionally, prior to the Series 4 being released, you only had to buy what came with your watch. And what I mean by that is whatever band came with the watch is the band that you got. and that is the color. So if you wanted the aluminum silver casing with the midnight blue band, that's what you would get. But if you wanted the you know space gray aluminum casing with the midnight blue band, not possible. There's different pairings of different colors with the different colors of the aluminum, the rose gold, especially with the stainless steel, that you can only get certain bands with. But nowadays, if you're buying an Apple Watch, you can change it whatever you want. You can get the stainless steel with the Hermes loop. You can get they have this thing on their website, which is awesome. It's a really cool tool called Apple Watch Studio, where you can interchange the different bands,
I'm on it right now.
different faces and everything like that. So it's pretty cool. I just remember how annoying it would be as an employee to explain to a customer that they couldn't exchange the Apple bands out. But nowadays, you can have it's kind of your pick of your own. What's the expression? Pick of your own pot? I don't know.
Pick your poison.
No, not pick your poison.
But
well,
pick your poison is technically a phrase.
But yeah, so you have the cream of the pot. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
The cream of the pot.
Pick whatever you
want. The cream of the crop.
You can customize it.
Oh
cream of the crop. Thank you. But yeah, so now you can customize the watch for whatever you'd like.
I'm gonna crop some cream on you if you just don't watch it, okay?
Okay, that was weird.
Now, by the way, also the titanium version came out as well. They did have a titanium version of it, but the Apple Watch Studio is pretty cool. I will say, going through this, it makes it really easy to decide what you want to do. You just swipe left and right and just decide what style you want. Then you pick the band that you want. It's really simple, and you can really get a good idea of what this is going to look like, and it's easy, honestly. And then of course they have the Hermes, which, don't get me started on Hermes. So, you're just a super rich person if you really need that.
Yeah.
One. Would you tell someone about the cellular or the non-cellular?
I would just tell them by non-cellular.
Yeah, I have a non-cellular. I had no reason. Like, what was the major reason for you was because of your workouts, right?
Yeah, my workouts and stuff like that. I just want to be able to have that connectivity. And like when I'm just, I know that the gym has the Wi-Fi, but I typically don't connect to it. So I want to be able to use my Apple Watch with my phone being in my locker.
And AppleCare on the Series 5, I believe on the regular one is $79. It's totally worth getting. I don't know so much on the third gen. I don't know if that would be worth it. Let's see if we go on the third gen's website and I buy that version and I want to buy AppleCare with it. Let's see how much that costs. If it's the same, it's $49. So it's $49, a little cheaper to get AppleCare on it, which, would you say it's definitely worth it if you break the screen? That's for sure.
I 100% agree.
Like, Apple Watch is definitely worth buying AppleCare for, only because, one, at some point your battery probably will need to be replaced within the 2 years of having it. But also, if you crack this thing, you're buying a new watch, folks. It's expensive to change.
Yeah, it's $199. Sometimes $299.
Yeah, it's crazy. You might as well buy it. It's half the cost. So you might as well protect yourself and have an AppleCare protection plan.
I wonder why it's so expensive.
Let's talk about why it's so expensive. I have no idea. Remember, this is one of our only products that's not repairable. We cannot do anything. Everything is sent out to Apple. So you do not go to the Apple Store with your Apple Watch to troubleshoot it, because they're going to do the same thing that online does. So keep that as a fact. Keep that as a hint.
Yeah.
That's a genius tip right there.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about the future of Apple Watch to close this out. So what do you want to see in the future of the Apple Watch? Now, I know everybody wants the sleep feature. I know that's something everybody wants. What feature is it that you would need to switch your watch out?
I don't know about feature, but I would need it to be a different watch physical body option. I would need it either to step away from this kind of square option. Maybe it's a circle, maybe
you want the round.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a round something. I don't know. Just give me an option, like we've seen this. We've now seen almost 6 iterations of this watch. And there really been a body change besides the larger screen and a thinner watch. But other than that, it still stayed at a traditional size. So I'd like to see a different body shape.
That's definitely the number one thing I was going to bring up was the design. Have two designs, one square, one circle. I think the circle design would be really cool. I'd be curious. I mean, I think it would act no different if they just how the iPhones have different sizes, but they're proportioned the same. So that's why it's like this would be a little different in proportion size, because now you have to make everything round, and everything has to fit in a round environment. So that's why they'd have to probably develop a whole different OS to make that to work. I don't know. But yeah, that's probably a number one feature. And software wise, I want custom watch faces.
Yeah. I never even thought about that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. We need third party watch faces to have some fun. We got a couple in there with Disney and Toy Story, but I want Star Wars ones, and special ones that do special things when you press on things. It'd be really cool. And even I use the infograph as my number one go-to on the watch. I think that's the best one because you have 8 things on the screen.
Yeah. I traditionally have the photo ones up. So right now I have the Pixar ball, and it just has my calendar and the time. So because I switch back and forth a lot. I have one of me and my girlfriend. I have one of Deshaun Watson. I have one of the Toy Story, and then I have Mickey Mouse.
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
Yeah. So honestly, Apple Watch is probably one of the best add-ons to a product, and honestly, again, the $199 price, it's worth getting a Series 3 just to have one.
Yeah.
But I will strongly recommend that. Know the differences between the 3rd and the 4, and if you think $200 is a tremendous difference for you, and for me going from a Series 0, I waited. I wasn't gonna jump the gun because of the speed and everything. I was solid on this guy, and I won't get rid of this either because this is the first gen stainless steel Apple Watch. It's worth absolutely nothing. I can't trade in to get a value for it, so I must just keep it, and hold on to it. At least I can say I had the first something, because I don't have that with the iPhone when I could have kept it, or my MacBook when I could have kept it. I want to keep this watch.
Yeah, I had the Series 1, and then I gave that away because when I bought the Series 1 a year later, so my watch history before the Apple Watch, because I'm a runner and I was a runner in high school, I used the Nike Pro watch that they had. It was a phenomenal running watch, and I had 3 versions of that watch. I was in on the ground floor. Somehow I got some connection in Nike where they were able to give me the watch for testing when I was in high school, and then they gave me
what?
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. That's a story for offline. But then, so I had the original watch that they ever came out with. Then I had their second and then their third iteration of these GPS watches that they came out with. And then when I joined Apple, I bought the Apple Watch Series 1. And then a year later, Nike and Apple announced their partnership of the Series 2 Nike edition of the Apple Watch. And I was the first one from our store to buy it because I worked in back of house at the time and I knew how to work around that. And so I was the first one in our store to buy it, and I was the first one to open it, and it was awesome. Back then, it was super cool to have the Nike one because you only get the Nike features with it, opposed to the other ones. But now the Nike watch faces and stuff like that are available to all of them. But at the time, it was really cool. And then now, from the Series 2, I gave that to my best friend, and now I have the Series 4.
All right. Wait, do you hear that sound, Tim? It's time to go. That's right. Our episode is complete. We want to thank you guys for joining us here, partially for YouTube. If you want to check out the full version of our episode, we will have the full podcast version available up on our channel. We have it on Pandora. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, of course, Tim's favorite thing, and Google, Amazon Music. We are everywhere. So please check us out on Stitcher as well. We are available all the time, and every Friday in the morning, our new episode comes out every single week. Check out our other YouTube videos that we've come out with. We did a couple of trainings, and we had our last week's episode as well, if you want to check that out. Tim, any final words?
Enjoy the weekend, guys. It's supposed to be nice. If you are residing in New Jersey, the parks are opening up again on Saturday.
Yes.
So I'm excited. Hopefully this
Maybe we
will
should.
come to an end.
Maybe we can go. Maybe we can help spread the coronavirus and go out together.
No. I want to go golf.
All right. I also go golfing. All right. Well, I'll go mini golfing with you. Absolutely.
I'm mini
All right,
golfing.
buddy. We want to thank you very much for joining us at the Think Different podcast here on YouTube, but also thank you very much for joining us on the podcast on our audio platforms. We love every single one of you. We are happy that you joined us for half of our episode on YouTube, and you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Peace out.